This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Shoot, the Piano Player from 1960, directed by Francois Truffaut. The tagline for this film, RJ.
Yeah, hit it.
This is a good one.
I can't wait.
Oh, you can't, but you're going to get it right now.
Oh, shit.
Francois Truffaut brilliantly... Sorry, I already fucked that up. Francois Truffaut, brilliant director who gave you the award-winning The 400 Blows, now brings to the screen a fascinating new work that plays in many keys, all of them delightful.
No.
I never even read that until just now.
Come on. You don't have to do that. Whoever wrote if I was the guy that the person gave that to, I'd be like, you don't have to do it like this, dude.
But
there's a lot of other ways you can do this.
But now we ask, but were they all delightful keys?
Oh, wow, that's a different story altogether.
Charlie is a former classical pianist who has changed his name and now plays jazz in a grimy Paris bar. When Charlie's brothers, Richard and Chico, surface and ask for Charlie's help while on the run from gangsters they have scammed, he aids their escape. Soon, Charlie and Lena, a waitress at the same bar, face trouble when the gangsters arrive looking for his brothers.
Yeah.
That's
the first 10 minutes of this movie.
That's like the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But there's no Richard. There's no Richard. That brother.
Who the fuck is Richard?
He's the third brother. He shows up in the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Oh, yeah, I remember that guy.
Richard.
And I went, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah. Hey, RJ, remember the 400 Blows?
I do remember the 400 Blows. Do you remember that movie? Because
it's
frequently commented
the
on.
only movie we've watched twice, or at least I've watched a second time. I don't know if you watched it when we did Anthony Donnell.
I did rewatch
you did.
it. I did it right. I did it right.
Okay, so that's the only movie we've watched twice on the podcast. So of course you remember the 400 Blows, much beloved by all.
Well, you check out the comment section on our original episode of the 400 Blows, and there might be some contention there, but
sure.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? 400 Blows?
Shoot, the Piano Player, which was Truffaut's follow-up film
to 400 Blows?
To 400 Blows. He made this between 400 Blows and Jules and Jim.
Okay.
So, 400 Blows, RJ, was a big success for Truffaut.
I'm sure it was.
But you know what? He was like, you know what? My next movie, I don't want it just to be a 400 Blows all over again. I want to make a different kind of movie. And I don't want it to, 400 Blows, it was so French, says the Frenchman. He wanted to flex. He wanted to show off his American influences. And thus, his ode to American film noir emerges. Shoot, the Piano Player.
What is he trying to homage? Noirs?
Noirs.
Jan Noir Aries or Noir Vembers?
I mean, we are in Noir Ember.
Okay. I just had to clarify.
So, this is based on a novel called Down There by American author David Goodis, who is the author of the novel Dark Passage, which has been turned into a movie with Humphrey Bogart. And other note there, too, I wasn't aware of, was Dark Passage. Or maybe I did know this and forgot completely. But Dark Passage, David Goodis, and then later his estate, because he died, they were suing the production company behind the TV show The Fugitive, saying that, hey, your TV show is ripping off this story. And the argument was, well, it's public domain because it was in the Saturday Evening Post. And then went on for some time. Ages and ages ago. Fun fact. I mean, I know you're a big Fugitive fan.
Oh, I'm one of the biggest. You remember when Milhouse was running from The Fugitive?
I don't care.
That's all I'm telling you. I didn't do anything. I don't care.
I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I'll mention too here is, I don't know if you recognized Chico, the brother that the movie opens up with on the run. That role's played by Albert Remy, who is Anthony Donnell's father in 400 Blows.
How could you forget? It was probably the first thing I noticed because of my impeccable 400 Blows, like, intrigue, you know. Yeah. I was like, yeah, hey, it's Papa. Mm-hmm. Papa 400.
Papa Blows.
Papa Blows. Well, the character, a lot of people get this confused. The character's name is 400, and his last name is Blows.
So he's the?
He's the.
It's not just 400 Blows, it's the 400 Blows.
The 400 Blows, yeah. I mean, what else would it be?
This is what people pay for right here.
This is a free podcast, I believe.
Yeah, still last time I heard. Shoot the Piano Player. It's a movie that I've heard mentioned before, and it has a kind of intriguing cover, but there's been nothing that's made me run toward watching it, because sometimes when you hear French New Wave and Ode to Film Noir, I go, wouldn't I rather just watch the real thing? Do I need Truffaut's version of it?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Some would say.
Some would say. And I mean, I like 400 Blows okay, and I really, really like Jules and Jim. So It was always like, well, one of these days I'll get around to this Piano Player, and here we are.
One of these days.
So the movie opens up with a man on the run. This is right after a very nice opening credit shot of the internal mechanisms of a piano being played, with a jaunty tune. This man on the run is Chico, and he has done something to anger someone driving a car. He runs into a lamppost and just like was wiped out, knocked out, or something like that. And a guy kind of comes along and helps him up, and they proceed to have a dialogue about being married, and the movie just like stops in its tracks as these two just have a conversation as they're walking down the street. Chico walks this man to his door, bids him a good night, and then he proceeds to start running again as the car that was pursuing him just like rounds the corner conveniently and just starts chasing him all over again.
Yeah, that is essentially what happens.
That's how things open up. So Chico makes his way to a dive bar called Plin's, or owned by a guy named Plin, and he finds a guy that he seems to know. As we find out over the course of the movie, already kind of mentioned in the synopsis, these are brothers. And of course, it's like you can't help but think, well, this guy's name's Chico. That's like the Marx brothers, right? So maybe all the rest of them should be called something. It's like, no, this guy's name's Charlie, which I've heard is like, well, because it's like after Charlie Chaplin, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like, who cares? It doesn't make any difference,
or does it make all of the difference?
No, it doesn't make.
Now consider that
doesn't make a lick. Doesn't make a lick of difference.
Okay, I was just curious.
So he finds his brother, Charlie, the artist formerly known as Edward, and he's playing at this place. These two seem estranged, and Charlie wants nothing to do with Chico and his bullshit. Chico macks on some ladies, makes some moves that I don't think we're ever going to be successful. We get to see a scene with this like couple that are doing this like dance number where he's coming at her and then she pushes off of him with her hand, and then eventually this guy had enough of that and he just fucking lights her up with a smack across the face, and everyone goes, whoa, 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 whoa. None of that. And you go, huh, France.
You know what they say about the French?
No. Insatiable?
Some would say insatiable. I was going to say goofy.
Goofy. Bastard.
French. But they are... Have you felt this level of insatiability ever outside of an Italian film? Not quite.
But it's kind of like... A lot of it's internal, though, too.
Yeah. I mean, but internal...
it does demonstrate there's more repression there.
I mean, internal horny and external horny are very similar. Those lines start to blur eventually.
They do.
Yeah. And I mean, when you're French or Italian, sometimes there is no line.
Yeah. So Chico tells his brothers, like, well, maybe Richard, their other brother, maybe he and I ripped off some guys, but they deserved it. They were not very good. They weren't helpful. So we had to do it. So we did a thing together, and there was some money left, and we left them out to dry. And now they're not happy about it, and they want us and or the money.
Yes.
Soon enough, these two goons that we've been hearing a little bit about, one with a flat cap, one with a fedora, both have pipes. They show up at the cafe, and Charlie begrudgingly helps Chico escape by kind of knocking over a bookcase or I don't know, some sort of cabinet.
He does something.
Yeah, full of records or papers, and puts in front of the door to slow them down just a little bit. And then he goes back to his business. And so then it turns out, the lead character in this movie is not this guy on the run. It's Charlie, the piano player. The bar closes up for the night, and Charlie goes home, and he starts escorting the nice girl of the movie, Lena, the waitress at the bar. Mm-hmm. And they have this sort of the movie kind of stops, and there's this scene of them walking, and it's kind of an internal monologue of him of do I touch her hand? Do I put my hand at her back to let her know that I like her?
Mm-hmm. And would you describe that as aggressive or? No,
well, he doesn't do it. He's just thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's later on, there's a scene where he's following her up the stairs, and he's just oh, look at those legs.
You said what about the legs?
Look at them legs. Look at those gams.
I don't know about that, man. But, well, I mean, gams in general.
But I mean, this is kind of played for laughs a little bit, because as he's thinking stuff, she just interrupts him, or she's like, "Hey, we should go do this thing," or at kind of the end of it, he's like, "Oh, should I tell her that I like her?" Oh, I don't. Then she's just gone already. He's like, "Oh, well, she's gone. All right. Well, I guess I'll just continue on my way." He goes back to his apartment, where we find out he has a relationship there with this woman sex worker who lives in the building and also looks after another brother, his little brother, not a dog, named Fido.
Yeah, I was so when you first were introduced to Fido, did you think it was going to be a dog too? Because I thought it was going to be a dog.
I think based on the context of their conversations, I was like, wait, Fido's not a dog?
I mean, yeah, I was kind of it seems like they're talking about someone who's not a dog, but there aren't people actually named Fido, are there?
I think, Fido Dido.
What? What's Fido Dido?
Look it up. You'll remember. You don't know about your 7-Up?
Fido Dido. Oh boy. Yeah, I know Fido Dido.
Yeah, you know Fido.
Did you ever play the 7-Up?
I did.
The video game?
Like the Spot game?
Yeah, where you're the bottle cap or whatever?
Yeah, the Spot.
Yeah,
the red spot. Yeah.
Fuck, it was good.
It's not a bad little platformer.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
But you know what that game did not have?
What's that?
Tits.
Does this movie?
We get some matter of fact breasts as this woman. She starts getting undressed. She's talking about her day and her clients, and talking about her dress and saying, "Hey, do you like how I'm dressed?" and stuff like that. Because they have a relationship. He's not paying her for the sex. They have a thing, and her and her mother look after young Fido while Charlie plays piano, I guess, at night. It is what it is.
I mean, it's definitely something.
And then we get a little line about, you should put that sheet over yourself like they do in the movies. And which is
like a ghost?
It's a little meta.
Kind of like a spooky ghost?
Like in Halloween.
Like putting a sheet over them?
Bob! Give me a beer!
Well, I mean, come on, that is how it works. That's married life, my man. I can relate to that a little bit. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Andrea goes away, I'll put the sheet over my head. Mm-hmm. She'll see it, she'll cry, she'll go stay in a hotel for 2-3 nights. come home and just be like, "Oh, you're still here, hey?" And I'll go, "Yes."
So Charlie leaves for the day.
Yeah.
And as soon as he leaves the apartment building, those goons pick him up.
Yes,
And
they do.
they force him into the vehicle. They're like, "Hey," it's like, "You know what we have in our pockets, right?" He's like, "Well, just show them anyway." They got guns.
Guns? Are they American?
I don't know. They're French gangsters. So
Oh, okay. Sorry.
they're tough.
So they have toughs. They have guns. And then what happened?
Well, they offer him 50,000 francs to tell him where Chico is. It's like, come on, to tell him to sell his own brother.
50,000 francs.
1960.
Thanks $2. Well, let me see what it is right now. 50,000. Oh wait, this is Swiss franc. I don't want Swiss franc, Jarrett.
Francs.
Well, there's no F. Where does F come in the alphabet?
It's third. What?
Well, yeah,
or
but
C?
it's not on.
Or do you say C or F?
F.
F.
All
Oh,
we have
fuck.
is Fijian dollar for F. Like Fiji.
What?
What is the French currency?
I thought it was francs. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I got francs up here, but it's Swiss.
I don't know.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna French currency.
Are they not on the euro now? Maybe.
Yeah, it's French franc,
Yeah.
but
Oh, it doesn't matter, does it?
well, this thing says that 50,000 francs is 54,000 United States dollars.
Well, that was back in 1960. They might have been still. I mean, it's always like with the lira, the Italian money. It's always like really like, oh, I don't need this loaf of bread. It's 100,000.
It's 100,000 francs.
You go, what the fuck? And you're like, oh, there it is. There you go. And they have like a big stack of bills. You're like,
Yeah.
This inflation.
Well, okay, so this thing says that $50,000 in 1960 would be equivalent to $443,000 today.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Let's see here. I got a website here called historicalstatistics.org, and the currency of dollar
Francville?
in year 2021. Get your answer by clicking here.
You should.
No
click
data.
there so
no data exists. Oh, fuck you.
Damn. They got us, eh? They got us on the data thing.
They did. They don't like that.
Damn.
Son.
Well, anyways, it sounds like it was a lot of money that they offered this person.
They did. Yeah, this
Quite a
site
bit.
sucks.
A lot of sites do, dude.
No.
What's the worst website you ever been to? Rotten.com?
That's a good one.
Eh,
So you find out that Pline, the guy who owns the bar or runs
Yeah.
the bar, he sold out their address to these guys for like $5 or something like that.
$5 is $5.
Yeah, but
You
he's
can get a whole
like, man,
meal at
imagine,
McDonald's
like,
for that.
I think that must like breach some FOIP. Just like giving out an employee's address to two guys for $5.
I don't know if they had FOIP agreements.
I think maybe that's
at the time.
that's why we've got FOIP now.
That's why we got FOIP now. You know, it's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
Big time stuff.
Yeah. So Charlie and as they're driving around, Charlie with the two goons, they see Lena. She's walking down the street, and they're like, "Hey, that's the waitress. Grab her too."
They said she's a piece, and you go, piece of what?
Yeah. And then so there's some dialogue.
There's some dialogue, all right.
Yeah, there's some dialogue about silky underwear.
Underwear.
No.
And there's dialogue of dirty underwear. Don't forget that.
Oh, 100%.
Just a little bit, though. Just a little bit.
But with some quick thinking, Lena hits the gas and makes the vehicle
Run a red.
run a little light, and then the police are brought in, and then the two are able to just like walk away because the police are there. They can't do anything violent to them. So they go back to Lena's place, and then we get a nice extended flashback.
How extended is it?
It's 20 minutes long.
That's pretty extended.
So this is about a half hour into the movie. We get about 20 minutes of learning the history of Edward, the piano maestro, or aspiring pianist. He's eating at a restaurant, and there's this waitress there as well that he meets. She's a blonde with short hair, as opposed to the waitress that he's currently on the run with long hair, and a different actor altogether. And there's this tension there where there's a flirtation going on, but there's also this like old man that's like kind of sits in another booth, and perhaps they're both vying for her attention in different ways.
How old are we talking?
I don't know, at least 31.
That's pretty old.
Yeah. So they hit it off, and she's like, "Wow, you're a pianist. That's really cool." And he's like trying to like get the attention of this older guy, because he is a, I don't know, piano impresario. He's like, he can get you in the right places. He can hook you up.
What's impresario?
Impresario?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Let's see here, RJ. I'll give you a nice little definition.
Okay.
A person who organizes and often finances concerts, plays, or operas.
Shit. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. Criterion Creeps came through for you, little buddy.
I wouldn't put it like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it quite like that. I would just say
it is misleading, because one would think an impresario is like the pianist, and they're like, oh, they're just so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, kind of.
Yeah, but no, it's not that. Yeah. But this is the back end guy. So soon enough, Edward's married to the waitress, and and then suddenly his career's taken off and everything's going great. But his wife or girlfriend, she starts becoming a little bit more distant for some reason, and he just doesn't know. And he keeps finding more and more success. And then even this the other guy, who's got like a very on the nose name too, like Sleazy Magoo or something like
that. Could you repeat that?
Sleazy Magoo.
Okay. I was just curious. Yeah, it is something similar to that.
I mean, it's like sleazy and goo.
It is.
Oh,
it's
there is
pretty close. To
Lars Schmiel.
No,
boo,
come on.
Boo, Lars Schmiel. What a bad guy. So anyway, so as it turns out, the only reason Edward's getting these opportunities is because his wife banged that guy, Mr. Lars Schmiel. And she's feeling real horrible about it. She doesn't want anything to do with this. I don't know, because she's like, oh my god, I whored myself out, and I can't. And she's having a hard time with it, and so she confesses it to Edward, and he's just kind of like, oh, I can't believe you do this. I mean, and so he doesn't really react. Like, he doesn't actually say anything. Which, 30 seconds later, out the window she goes. She just can't live with herself anymore. She kills herself. Lands on the city street. It hits the newspapers.
Yeah, man, if I had a nickel, you know what I mean?
And with that, this is what sends Edward into being like just a down and out guy. He's like, I don't deserve anything. And he's sweeping up shit at the bar. But then they find
off the walls?
Finds a piano that's there, though. He's like, hey, can I give this a spin? And he starts playing it. The old urge is still there, but to punish himself, he's just playing piano in this old dive. And that's what he's playing, jazz, dirty jazz music, not classy concert music.
Dirty jazz?
Dirty jazz.
Is it? Okay, now just let me... Is it kind of like... Is it kind of like that at all?
More like... Like
circus music?
Old timey, yeah. Spin your floozy left and right.
Just flat out circus music. Okay, yeah. I like it.
It's like Curb Your Enthusiasm as opposed to Seinfeld.
Oh, so a little darker is what you're saying.
Fellini-esque.
Fellini-esque. Yeah, I've heard of that before. But
yes,
once or twice.
Yes. So anyway, so his wife's dead. He's punishing himself. But now we catch up with Fido, who's in school and hanging out with his friends. He's being raised by the woman next door and her mama. And then the goons just barge in and kidnap the kid.
Mm-hmm. The goons.
The goons.
The goons is there. They
got
a good method, too.
Yeah, they just grab them. They're like, wait, what are you doing? He's like, enough of you.
Are you a little kid? And then he goes, yes. And I said, all right, we got you.
Charlie and Lena, with not knowing this has happened, they go to the dive bar. They go talk to Pline, the guy who sold them out. He's like, what? They did? Oh, I'm trying to make a living here. Well, a confrontation occurs. And Charlie and Pline take it outside of the alley. And we get this moment that's kind of funny of these two guys who are tough guying it up. They're like, well, neither one of us really wants to get hurt. But
yeah,
so they kind of enter into almost a negotiation of we get to go back in there, but you got to make it look good or something like that. But Pline is he starts choking out Charlie. He just puts him in this headlock, and he starts going on a real incel-esque, super misogynistic rant.
Ooh.
So Charlie, in having to defend himself, he had grabbed a kitchen knife from inside the bar that he dropped immediately when they got out there. And there's all these witnesses, these old women looking out the window, kind of just what's going on down here? These two guys are going to kick the shit out of each other. Mm-hmm. While Charlie's trying to take the knife and get the guy in the arm so he'd drop the hold. Well, the guy moves and that knife plunges in, killing him.
Killed him dead?
Killed him dead.
Yeah. Killed him dead. I've been killed dead a couple times.
Yeah. And so they, the kind of, I don't know, knocked unconsciously or knocked through a loop, Charlie and dead body of Plynn get brought in by the women and brought into storage so Charlie can heal up. We get some kidnapper child car ride chatter.
They're having fun with that.
Talking about school, talking about musical lighters, talking about assuming people knocking at the door are going to kill you. That kind of
that old chestnut
back and forth. It's kind of hey, don't worry about it, kid. You're not in really any danger.
Not yet.
We're just taking you hostage, and we're going to go. We've heard where Chico's holding up in this old family cottage in the mountains you got.
Mm-hmm.
As all French people have.
That's Jarrett. I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the French. You know what's going on.
So Charlie's kind of on semi-mend, but he's still kind of weird and off. Belena's like, hey, we've heard where your brothers are held up, but we also know the goons are on the way.
The goons?
The goons.
Are they hired or are they just freelance?
Well, they're freelance. They're their own goons. Self-made goons.
Self-made goons?
Self-made goons.
Probably the best kind of goon.
Yeah. So there's a drive out to the mountains. They're heading up to this mountain hideout to get Fido back. But because of some mechanical issues, the goons and Fido are stuck at a gas station looking at some technical problems, and they drive right by. And they move along. And Charlie keeps drinking a whole bunch.
Ooh.
Soon enough, driving up the snowy road, they get to the house. The brothers are all united. We finally get to see Richard, his debut, an hour into the movie. And there's some exchanges oh, hey, you killed a guy? That's crazy. Because he's also still at this point, Charlie thinks he's on the run. But I guess at some point we also do discover that, oh, by the way, the old ladies, they saw that you were defending yourself, so the police don't even care. They don't even need to talk to you.
I mean,
it's 1960.
When I was watching that scene, I was kind of like, why is he worried? There's 100 witnesses there.
Still, you never know. And then so soon enough though, the goons arrive. There's a shootout, and in the crossfire, Lena, who I think is kind of running to help save Fido, who just shoves one of the goons in the ass, and he just runs off, and he's fine. Lena sees him kind of running. She's going to go grab him, but these guys, they're jumpy. They're killing people when they're knocking at doors. They just kill her. She's dead. She didn't do anything wrong.
Killed her dad?
And she goes sliding down this snowy hill.
Yeah.
The Bad Brothers and the goons, they drive off, leaving Charlie with the dead waitress and Fido. And the movie kind of ends with Charlie going back to work at the dive bar. He's introduced to a new waitress.
Yeah.
And Charlie plays looking sullen as usual as the fiend pops up on the screen.
Fiend?
Fiend.
Fiend. And do they say it like that? Kind of? Like,
that's how I say it.
Fiend.
I much prefer fine.
Fine. I like that too, because I'm not going to lie to you. Every time I finished a French film that has ended with fine, in my mind I
went. I think
fine.
The French are fin, and I think Bergmans are fine.
That's confusing.
They are different languages.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have to do that. They should just have one or the other.
How about something like the end? Question mark.
I think the question mark.
Every movie ends at the end. Question mark.
Question mark. I think that every one of our podcasts should end like that. Question mark. Mm-hmm. And then you go,
So, French New Wave.
Is this French New Wave?
It is. That it is.
By whose definition?
By mine, because the one thing that is always in these goddamn movies is these couples, these heteronormative couples, a man and a woman. They are in a bedroom, in bed, guy's shirtless, and there's these like fairly endless dialogue scenes that are like not scripted, or if they're scripted, it's like we wrote these in a notebook the morning of shooting, like Godard style, and we just handed it to you, and then they just performed it. They're shot in a way that movies were not being shot in 1960, like where it's like very close up and kind of floating and letting scenes just play out endlessly. And that's like, that was very new and fresh for 1960, but all those lessons have been learned, and movies are just like this now. And so it's like, really, it's always an odd thing to go back and watch this stuff, unless you're watching Hollywood movies from 1960, and then you watch like one of these and you go, whoa, movies were not being made like this at that time, but now everything feels like this. Like TV has felt like this for decades. Movies.
Which TV?
Since the 70s. I don't know.
Like the $1 Million Man?
Well, do you think that I think you should leave? Has
got inspiration for this?
Yeah, but it's like it's in the DNA. It's not even acknowledged anymore. It's just, we're so past that. We have their own idioms now.
I mean, potentially.
So, Shoot the Piano Player for me is a watch through. I was on board for this movie for about the first half hour, just fine, I guess. But that flashback really zonked me out a bit. It wasn't as succinct as it could have been, and I mean, there's not really that much there, but everything felt so long. Pretty sure I might have fell asleep like really quickly all of a sudden, and then I woke up as it ended, and then soon enough I was like, "What's happening?" Oh, she went out the window, so I had to go back and watch the previous like 20 minutes, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I know why I kind of nodded off here." And then I was back up and running, and it's like, okay, so this is just like a back and forth thing without any of the. This is like not trying to convey the usual drama that you'd expect if this was a film noir with stakes. This movie's not concerned with stakes.
It's not beefsteak. I can tell you that much.
No, this is like pork loins.
Ravioli. It's a ravioli, is what it is.
No,
it's a ravioli.
Yeah.
I mean, not even quite, actually. This is like... Yeah, anyway, you keep going.
Penne?
Yeah, it's like a penne, but there's no sauce. It's just noodles.
Butter, maybe?
It's just buttered noodles,
or
which, I mean...
margarine.
Sometimes I want buttered noodles, but yeah, this is like margarine noodles, where you're just like, it's not really butter, I can tell. Something else is going on.
You can tell.
I can believe it's not butter. I can tell.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's like when it's soft, from the fridge, you go, uh-oh, something's going on here.
So you get to the end of the movie, and it's just like, which one of these women just got killed? Like, I kind of
doesn't matter at that point,
right? It's like, well, there's the one that's really nice, and she's hanging out, and but then she's suddenly dead. There's like the one Letterboxd review that pops up fairly highly for me. I think it was like Craig Clark's like, this movie's got one of the best all time fake outs in cinema, and I was like, which one's that? And
it doesn't count as a fake out if people can't follow along as it happens.
I don't even know what that was, if it happened. I'm like, is this the same movie?
Yeah.
To do my notes here, I actually kind of wound up almost watching the movie through again, kind of like skimming through, just make sure that I had all my bases covered when I went through. I think this is a pretty good synopsis of the movie, breakdown of the story, which I think might sound more interesting than actually watching the movie.
The breakdown?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, watching this movie is a different beast altogether compared to what you just described.
Yeah. Where it's like, this is what happens, but your memory might be what happens in the movie.
You go, that was a movie?
The piano player never even gets shot.
They try.
He gets choked out. Choke the piano player.
They try, but they're not effective.
But they're not even trying to shoot him exactly. They're just shooting. They just want their money back. So anyway, this is definitely lesser Truffaut for me. Between putting 400 Blows and Jules and Jim together, it's like, yeah, this is definitely the weakest of those three. And even in Truffaut world, I'd have to take a gander here and see how this compares to the Donnell movies.
I got the hiccups here for a second.
You.
I don't mean to, but
no.
You want me to tell you about this movie a little bit?
You can tell me what you think of it. I'm kind of indifferent to it at the end of the day. It didn't really leave much of an impression. I will never watch it again.
Yeah,
I think that is fair to say. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about Truffaut. He's super hit and miss. Like, sometimes there's Jules and Jim, sometimes there's Antoine and Colette, and
inconsistently too, right? Like, not even hit and miss. It's like inconsistent on the hit and miss even.
And then I mean, like, then there's like the real movies of like Stolen Kisses and Bed and Board of his Donnell stuff. It's like, yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, did you call those the real movies?
Well, sorry, I'm looking at these other movies that I've not seen before. Like, I don't know what Los Four Golpes is. I guess
I think
I'm assuming it's not real.
It's a vampire thing. I think
that's pretty cool. I didn't know he was into vampires. Fahrenheit 451.
That's another vampire story.
Yeah,
people don't know that. Everyone's interpretation of that text is wrong. That's a vampire story. And
I've only ever seen Day for Night once. That was a long time ago, and that movie's got some real contempt vibes to it. So,
yeah, equally vampiric, I believe.
Equally.
You know what this movie reminded me of?
What's that?
Band of Outsiders by Jean-Luc Godard. Just because of the, somewhat, like, it's not even like a love triangle, but like, men and women and relationship, and then, hey, let's go do bad stuff, like rob people, and then you go, okay. So it reminded me of that for some reason. I don't really know why.
It doesn't even have a dance number though.
It doesn't.
It does. It does have a musical interlude though, at the bar, which it's like, huh.
It certainly has that.
It does.
But okay, so here's my rundown on Shoot the Piano Player,
which I'll preface with RJ's review of this. It's a movie, all right.
I honestly don't know how else to describe it. Like, I was so just completely unmoved by, or not even moved, like just completely unregistered.
Disengaged.
Yeah. Like where I'm with you, where it's like for the first 20, 30 minutes, I was like, okay. And then after that, I was kind of like, I don't even give a shit what's going on in this movie anymore. It's like, is it a bad movie? No, there's nothing like, I don't think there's anything outright bad about this. I was just so not interested and completely bored. I was just like, I don't care. I don't care about any of this. Like, it's like Shoot the Piano Player. It's like everything they do with this guy. I was like when you get introduced to him, he's kind of played as a straight man, and then you see that he's not a straight man, and you're like, I don't care. And then he's got a complicated history with his wife, and you go, I don't care. And then there's a side story about like these mob guys and the brothers who've stolen from them, and at the same time you go, I don't care. And like that's my biggest takeaway from this was I honestly I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think there's anything worthwhile with it. It's just like this is literally it's 90 minutes that exist on film.
81.
80, yeah. See,
It's even got a short runtime, and it's
even got a short runtime, and I think that was my thing too. Like, I saw it was like an hour 20. I was like, oh, nice. And I turned it on. I think I checked the time at like 30 minutes, and I was like, oh no. I was like, this is not a good movie. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a ton to say.
I feel like it's actually been a while since we did the mention of what time it was when we checked the
timestamp.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. Well, I'll tell you, Kuso, I timestamped at 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
Oh, speaking of that, I tried watching that movie Daisies, that one Czech movie that people pop up. Whew. That was
Kuso-esque.
Yeah, whatever that was, I was like, nope. And I'm like, is this not part of the collection, right? I'm like, it's not, but that's fine because that means I never have to watch it until it is. But
good.
People love it, but holy shit, I can only imagine. You should do it. You should do the Daisies test. And
Daisies test?
Yeah. See how long you last.
You do the Daisies test and do the Kuso test. I doubt anyone gets past 4 minutes. I doubt it. Right. Anyways, yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this movie, but honestly, it's like it's just a thing that exists. Is it bad? Not really. Is it good? No, not at all. But
that sounds like great filmmaking, though. Pauline Kael likes it.
I don't know who Pauline Kael is, but they're full of shit. Yeah. Is what I would say. That's what I would say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I know I'm not offering you a lot here, Jared, but this movie doesn't offer a lot either. So I feel like I'm given what I'm being given. I'm putting out what I'm being given. You know what I mean? Not a lot going on here.
When I was going back and kind of rewatching the movie, kind of just like over like skimming out the scenes, I guess, of like, okay, how long is this segment take, and like kind of piecing it out that way. It's always like way more interesting, which is interesting to me because these movies look for single frames really nice. But actually sitting down and watching it in its entirety is not a good time. And it's almost like, I think like when people start really falling in love with these movies, like on an academic level, sometimes it comes from like these like watching it in a way that it's actually not experienced, and eventually you start being like, yeah, I can really get into the rhythm of it and start falling in love with these movies. That's what I have to think, because sometimes I'm like, how could you like this after like one watch? Because I don't know.
And I agree with that, but like I feel like one thing,
and that's not a defense of it either. That's just kind of like something like this is my first time view. I was kind of like, ugh, I don't know about. I really didn't enjoy that. And then just like when I was like going back for notes, I was kind of like, well, I think I like this movie more now, which I do. Like I genuinely like it. It bumped up in my my current top 15 of this section of the whatever 301 and up. It moved on. It went above Baudu, Safe from Drowning, and the like.
Yeah. I do see what you mean. But You know what I think it is? I think you like books more than movies, potentially.
But I don't read.
But you like to read about movies and what the movies mean.
Sometimes, if I have the time.
Yeah, if you have the time. But I mean, I feel like you like reading about this movie more than the movie itself, potentially.
I don't know. I think some people just like it though too. But
I mean, yeah, some people, and well, it's like I said, I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. It's just I'm not interested in it almost at all. And I mean, I know that's just like my bag, baby, but it's an Austin Powers reference for you. That's more in line with my interests. But yeah, no, I just don't think it's it doesn't offer me a lot, and that's all.
Well, I say that is okay.
I mean, yeah, we're all allowed to have our opinions, man.
Well, some more than others. Let's take a look at who hates this movie.
Sure.
So, half a star from Gremlins for Life. Truffaut's second movie is considered to be one of the best of the French New Wave. However, Truffaut couldn't be bothered to include even one gremlin. He has time to include a character go on about his wife, but no gremlins. What's the point?
I like this profile. Here's a review of 2001: A Space Odyssey. 2 hours and 44 minutes. Not a single gremlin. Waste of time.
Is that a half star?
That is a half star.
Good.
Here's another one for Big Fish. Big Fish is a movie that guys love to brag about crying during. It's their Titanic. Gremlins don't cry. Gremlins don't have fathers. And Big Fish has no gremlins. Tim Burton could learn a thing or two from Gremlins and Gremlins 2, the new batch, by adding more gremlins to this shitty movie. No stars. Try again, Birdie Boy.
Gremlins have no fathers.
I liked that. That was good. Yeah. And there's a.
So what are their favorite movies?
Well, they have a list. There's only 15 movies logged, and they have a list called God Tier Movie List, and there's only 2 films in it: Gremlins,
and
Gremlins 2.
Yep.
There's a lengthier review of Nightmare on Elm Street. I haven't read it first. I could read it to you if you want. And then there's a review of Captain Phillips. Okay, Captain.
I think I have an idea of what their criticism might be.
Okay, so here's the Captain Phillips one. Okay, so hear me out. Instead of pirates, it's gremlins. I'm the captain now. Stripe, the gremlin, is saying that. It's a big ship with a lot of cargo. All I'm saying is that there could have been gremlins in one of those shipping containers, but someone decided to not put gremlins in it, and that person should be fired and removed from Hollywood. No stars.
Wow, no stars.
Yeah, I think I got to finish this off. Here's the Nightmare on Elm Street review.
And this is all their reviews they have?
Well, there's a Birds of Prey one as well, but it's not on their main page. Okay. So, Nightmare on Elm Street. This is complicated. First, Gremlins came out a few months before Elm Street, so they had plenty of time for some reshoots. But they decided it was better without Gremlins. I mean, Freddy is kind of a pathetic gremlin in this one, moping around in people's dreams, trying to get revenge at some parents that killed him. Maybe he's more like Gremlins in Part 2. What I do know is that
maybe
Home Alone is a ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street. The entire booby trap, the house is stolen from Elm Street. All of the kids are left alone in real life in their dreams. Someone should sue Kevin McAllister. That's not the point of this review, though. No Gremlins equals not a movie. No stars. Okay, I think that one was a little too long. But I think the point here is that I am following this person because I'm on board with Gremlins for life. I'm on board with this. I don't know if there's...
I might have to follow suit. So back to others.
Oh, wait, here, I got one for you.
Oh.
The Searchers. John Wayne searches for like 2 hours and finds no gremlins. Sure, the cinematography is God tier, but what's even the point if there are no gremlins? What a waste. Okay. Anyways. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, good stuff. There's more on here, but yeah, good stuff.
Next up, disappointing. I'm sure this will follow up. Will be Secret Hunter, 1 star. Okay. There is a direct correlation between misogynistic bore fests like this being taught in film school and all the shitty scripts I've had to read from mediocre white dude screenwriters.
This person already seems like an asshole. They're all the scripts I've had to read. Yeah, anyone can read a fucking script, dude. You can just Google that. You can read whatever you want. They live in LA, and their bio or their tag, whatever, is writer assistant, world's third greatest detective. Favorite films include Zodiac, Reanimator, Captain America, and Jurassic Park, which is strange. I don't know. If someone talks about all the scripts they read in a review of any movie, I'm automatically going to assume you're not a good guy or gal. Or they. You're just not a good person. That's what I think. You know what I mean, Jer? He knows what I mean.
I know what you're saying.
This person hasn't even seen Gremlins. What the fuck's wrong?
Sergio Castanon. Now, this is like toward the bottom, RJ. I only mention this because it's very similar to a subsequent review from Rebecca, which is also 1.5 star, where Sergio writes, "Not my cup of tea." And this is followed by Rebecca saying, "Usually I'm a big fan of Truffaut, but this wasn't my cup of tea at all."
So they're
what? Is this also a joke account? But this not being my cup of tea, and 2 people both saying this movie's a 1.5 star movie.
I mean, this person seems to be a real account. They like normal movies. They just gave Eternals 2 stars. Which, is the thing. All their reviews are in Spanish.
Oh, damn.
Can't read Spanish, but let's go to Rebecca. And I don't fucking know. I mean, it just looks like the usual. You know what I mean? It's not even Gremlins on here at all. Just La La Land, Breakfast at Tiffany's, boring ass stuff.
Usual shit.
The usual shit.
Well, that's that. I mean, that's the hate. It's probably just people picking away at this or indifference. I mean, how can you top Gremlins? That's what it comes down to.
Honestly, that is what it comes down to. How do you top Gremlins? Yeah. It's an important question.
Even retroactively, right? Like it's unfair to be like judging the Joe Dante classic with a French New Wave from 1960. I mean, the Gremlins hadn't even been invented yet.
It hadn't been, but if it had, I think there could have been some Gremlins in Shoot the Piano.
I mean, what year did that Twilight Zone episode come out with the Shatner one?
With the Gremlins?
Yeah, with the Gremlin. It's only one Gremlin.
I want to say 1931.
1963.
Okay, I was close.
So I mean that. Yeah, I'd be curious what the Gremlins for Life person has to say. Probably doesn't like how big. It's just a guy in a giant gorilla suit with a funny mask.
I mean, not as good as a real Gremlin, I would say for sure. But I mean, we'd have to consult with this person.
Right.
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
Have him on the show. But
I
mean, Gremlins isn't even part of the Criterion Collection, so I mean,
not yet.
There you go.
Yeah, we could bring this guy on pro bono, no problem. This guy, gal, or they can come on pro bono, whatever they want.
I mean, I do wonder, are they Gremlins themselves?
Who are the real Gremlins?
The Gremlins.
I mean,
except no substitutes.
I mean, no. I agree.
Any final thoughts on Shoot the Piano Player?
I'm completely sidetracked by the Gremlins account, and I think that just goes to show how uninteresting Shoot the Piano Player is. And it's like,
well,
I mean, it's not bad.
It's
just how uninterested I am in this movie. I personally do not care.
What's going to get you back on board watching movies, RJ?
Gremlins, potentially at Christmas.
What?
Well, I mean,
how about samurais? Samurai gremlins? Because you can't tell that they're not gremlins because they've got armor on them.
If there's a mix of the two, I would potentially be interested in that.
Okay. All right.
Potentially.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
After the break, RJ is shot and left for dead in the snow, and Jarrett just goes and records that podcast by himself, and then
without gremlins.
The end question mark comes up beside him.
Question mark?
But he's met a nice young boy that he can do another podcast with and start it all over again.
Comparing everything to gremlins.
Yeah, you didn't have to sleep with that podcast impresario after all, RJ.
Well, now you tell me.